the Lord. Hallelujah. Glory to God. Trust everyone is doing well on this lovely Wisconsin almost spring morning. We know it's almost spring because it tipped down on us with rain yesterday, and there's snow in the forecast for this evening. So this is that point of the weather cycle where the weather's like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just going to roll the dice and see what happens. Yeah, and everybody exclaims about it every year, but it does this every year. Every year, as we go into spring, the weather just gets a little loopy. So make sure you have a warm jacket with you, a rain jacket with you, maybe no jacket. I mean, just, who knows? Who knows? If you want to know what the weather's doing, look out the window. That's about the only way to be certain at this time of year. I'm glad the Lord is more predictable and reliable than the weather. All right. If you would join me in the book of Proverbs, chapter 15 and verse 22. And if you would be so kind as to stand for the reading of the word. We're going old school all the way, baby. Proverbs, chapter 15, verse 22. Do I hear any pages turning? One or two? Some of you need more sword drills. We might do that on a Wednesday night sometime. All right, Proverbs chapter 15, verse 22. Without counsel, purposes are disappointed, but in the multitude of counselors, they are established. Bless you. You may be seated. See, decisions are hard. But the Bible, as it does on so many subjects, offers us advice. It says, in the multitude of counselors, they are established. We can get good counsel when we find good advisors or counselors, or even good friends. Occasionally, even a pastor. Sometimes people ask me what I think, but because decisions are hard, well, some decisions are hard. Some decisions are easy. Would you like another slice of cake? Well, that wasn't a difficult one. Would you like to go out for ice cream? Okay, maybe that decision wasn't hard. But some decisions are hard. There are some decisions in our lives that are pretty big. My case, as an atheist deciding to serve the Lord, it's somewhat of a large decision. As an English guy, did I want to stay and live in America? Also a large decision. Because while England and America are very similar, they're also very different. But definitely a large decision. But today I want to talk about another decision that we find in the scriptures. And this one we find in the book of Numbers. So if you turn to book of Numbers, chapter 13, and just hang out there, we're going to look at what I'm going to describe as the decision at the edge of heaven. The decision at the edge of heaven. So normally when the preacher says we're going to the book of Numbers, it's like, oh my goodness, what are they going to preach? Hopefully this isn't too bad, but I hope we can take some good lessons from this. read verses 1 and 2 to set the scene. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Send thou men, that they may search the land of Canaan, which I give unto the children of Israel. Of every tribe of their fathers shall ye send a man, every one a ruler among them. All right, so backstory time. At this point, the children of Israel have been out of Egypt and away from Egyptian bondage for 2 years. They have gently, you could say they have taken the scenic route from Egypt to the Promised Land. 2 years is a little bit slow getting to the Promised Land, given that the primary trade route, it is estimated by scholars, and sometimes scholars know what they're talking about, it is estimated that it is approximately 3 weeks of caravan travel to get from Egypt to Canaan, or what the Lord calls the Promised Land. So 2 years is a little bit longer than 3 weeks. Now, not because Moses did the guy thing and refused to ask for directions, not because they got lost, not because of any negative reasons, but the Lord took them into the wilderness so that he could have some time just with them. And there was the whole giving of the law. There was the God explaining that you are my chosen people now, and I am your chosen God. Or well, maybe not chosen, but I'm your God. I chose you, and I am now your God, and I will look after you, and will lead you, and will guide you, and will provide for you. And indeed he did. They had a pillar of fire at night. They had a covering of cloud during the day. They had a rock of water following them around. I just can't even imagine. That's just almost too amazing. A great big rock gushing forth enough water for millions of people and all of their livestock, just following them around in the desert. Wow. So the Lord did provide for them, and also he gave them the plan for the tabernacle in the wilderness. That's a whole separate sermon, or even sermon series. And they needed to construct that and make it, and then the Lord brought them to a place, and the King James generally just called Kadesh. Most other translations call it Kadesh Barnea. This was a place on the edge of Canaan, the edge of the Promised Land, and the Lord brought them here, and it was going to be their entry point into the Promised Land. Now, the Lord had made a number of promises about the Promised Land, kind of hence the name, and he wanted to show that what he was bringing them into was every bit as good as he had promised. See, the Lord is not a used car salesman. He is not going to tell you that this thing over here is just magnificent and trust me. No, the Lord told Moses, pick out a leader from every tribe. So 12 tribes, that would be 12 leaders. 12 people who the people will trust, and we are going to send them into this land to spy it out and return and tell everyone just how great this place is. Picking back up with verse 3. And Moses, by the commandment of the Lord, sent them from the wilderness of Paran. All those men were heads of the children of Israel. And these were their names of the tribe of Reuben, Shammua, the son of Zakur. Oh, wish me luck. I love pronouncing Old Testament names. I'll give it a good shot, but if anybody's Hebrew is better than mine, you feel free to come up and read these instead. Of the tribe of Simeon, Shaphat, the son of Hori. Of the tribe of Judah, Caleb, the son of Jephunneh. Of the tribe of Issachar, Igal, the son of Joseph. Of the tribe of Ephraim, Oshia, the son of Nun. Of the tribe of Benjamin, Palti, the son of Raphu. Of the tribe of Zebulun, Gadiel, the son of Sodi. Of the tribe of Joseph, namely of the tribe of Manasseh, Gadi, the son of Susi. Of the tribe of Dan, Amiel, the son of Gamali. Of the tribe of Asher, Sether, the son of Michael. Of the tribe of Naphtali, Nabi, the son of Vophsi. Yes. Of the tribe of Gad, Geuel, the son of Maki. Praise the Lord. These are the names of the men which Moses sent to spy out the land. And Moses called Oshia, the son of Nun, Jehoshua. And Moses sent them... Oh, sorry. Let me stop there. So, these are the 12 leaders within the tribes that Moses picked. These days we might call them influencers, because Moses wanted to pick people who, when they returned, would be believed. These days on social media we have influencers. These are people who generally like to pitch products to people and say, oh, I use this product, and therefore you should too, because I'm a wonderful person and you should believe me. Sure. But yeah, these people were influencers. Moses selected them carefully. Okay, returning to verse 17. And Moses sent them to spy out the land of Canaan, and said unto them, get you up this way southward, and go up into the mountain, and see the land, what it is, and the people that dwelleth therein, whether they be strong or weak, few or many, and what the land is that they dwell in, whether it be good or bad, what cities they be that they dwell in, whether in tents or in strongholds, and what the land is, whether it be fat or lean, whether there be wood therein or not. And be ye of good courage, and bring of the fruit of the land. Now the time was the time of the first ripe grapes. So this was the instruction, the mission objective of Moses. Go in and spy it out. Is it a fruitful land? Are there trees, or is it virtually barren? What is it like? And look at the cities. Look at the dwelling places. Are they living in tents, or are they living in strongholds? What are we going to find when we cross that mountain and go in to the promised land? And bring us of the fruit. Now, I don't think it was a coincidence, because the Lord doesn't do coincidences, that it was the time of the first ripe grapes. God had promised them this land would run with milk and honey. That didn't mean there would only be milk and only honey, but he also promised that there would be vineyards that they had not planted. There would be olive trees that they had not tended. There would be all of these things waiting for them. And so Moses was like, bring back some fruit. We need to see examples of what this land can grow for us. Picking back up in verse 21. So they went up and searched the land from the wilderness of Zin unto Rehob, as men come to Hamath. And they ascended by the south and came unto Hebron, where Ahiman, Shishai, and Talmai, the children of Anak were. Now Hebron was built 7 years before Zoan in Egypt. And they came unto the brook of Eshcol, and cut down from thence a branch with one cluster of grapes, and they bare it between two upon a staff, and they brought of the pomegranates and of the figs. The place was called the brook Eshcol because of the cluster of grapes which the children of Israel cut down from thence. And they returned from searching of the land after 40 days. So they did a fairly thorough job. They spent 40 days exploring, spying out the land. And I note here that it says they cut down one cluster of grapes. One. But it was so heavy, they had to hang it on a staff between two men. Two men carrying this staff on their shoulders in order to carry one cluster of grapes. Now that's a lot of grapes right there. I don't even drink wine and I'm excited about that. It's a whole lot of grape juice right there. So, they went on their mission. They did those things that Moses asked them to, and they returned after 40 days. Verse 26. Excuse me. And they went and came to Moses and to Aaron and to all the congregation of the children of Israel unto the wilderness of Paran to Kadesh, and brought back word unto them and unto all the congregation, and showed them the fruit of the land. And they told him and said, We came unto the land whither thou sentest us, and surely it floweth with milk and honey, and this is the fruit of it. Nevertheless, the people be strong that dwell in the land, and the cities are walled and very great. And moreover, we saw the children of Anak there. The Amalekites dwell in the land of the south, and the Hittites and the Jebusites and the Amorites dwell in the mountains, and the Canaanites dwell by the sea and by the coast of Jordan. All right, so they said, yes, this is a land of milk and honey. And look at the fruit. My goodness, we brought back these grapes. Just look at them. So far, this is a pretty good report. Okay, it's exactly how the Lord described it. And here's the fruit, and it's magnificent. Oh, but they're really big. And they live in walled cities. And there's lots of them. Verse 30. And Caleb stilled the people before Moses and said, Let us go up at once and possess it, for we are well able to overcome it. Joshua also gave the same report as Caleb, but here we have Caleb speaking up. So Caleb, who was one of the spies, said, Yes, they're big, but we are well able to overcome it because we have the Lord on our side. Caleb was remembering the miracles of God and the things that God was able to do. The other 10 spies were not apparently remembering the power of the Lord. So they gave, to start with, an honest report. Yes, it runs with milk and honey, and here's the fruit. But then they concentrated on the problems. There's lots of people living there, and they live in walled cities. Caleb tries to encourage them, but then they repeat their report. So go back to picking up with verse 31 again. But the man that went up with him said, We be not able to go up against the people, for they are stronger than we. And they brought up an evil report of the land. This is the Lord's description. The scriptures are telling us this report is evil, which they had searched unto the children of Israel, saying, the land through which we have gone to search it is a land that eat up the inhabitants thereof. And all the people that we saw in it are men of a great stature. And there we saw the giants, the sons of Anak, which come of the giants, and we were in our own sight as grasshoppers, and so we were in their sight. Wow, this is getting worse. So yeah, runs with milk and honey, the fruit is lovely, but they're giants, I tell you. We cannot defeat them. We felt like grasshoppers in their sight, and they looked at us as grasshoppers as well. So they repeated the report and threw in an extra added woe. Woe is me. And the scriptures describe this as an evil report. And they were saying, we were as grasshoppers, and they looked at us, and they looked at us as grasshoppers. We are nothing before them. They're giants, and they're stronger than us. Well, maybe not. Let's take a look and see what the people of the land actually thought. If you would like to join me in the book of Joshua, we're going to just pop over there. Keep your finger somewhere in Numbers. We're coming back. Joshua chapter 2. It's not too far from here. Joshua chapter 2. Let's go read verses 9 through 11. Joshua chapter 2. 9 through 11. The other chapter 2. So here, this is the report of Rahab. Now, when they get to the promised land, and all that stuff, so spoiler alert, they do go into the promised land. They send spies into Jericho, and the spies talk to Rahab. And Rahab tells them what the people are thinking. And she said unto the man, I know that the Lord hath given you the land, and that your terror is fallen upon us, and that all the inhabitants of the land faint because of you. For we have heard how the Lord dried up the water of the Red Sea for you when ye came out of Egypt, and what ye did unto the two kings of the Amorites that were on the other side of Jordan, Sihon and Og, whom ye utterly destroyed. And as soon as we has heard these things, our hearts did melt, neither did there remain any more courage in any man because of you. For the Lord your God, he is God in heaven above and in earth beneath. So, oh yeah, they saw us as grasshoppers, and we're nothing in their sight. Rahab's like, we're scared. We are absolutely scared. Our knees are knocking because we've seen what God has done for you. We are terrified of you coming in here because the Lord has given you this land. I think those are two very different perspectives on the matter. 10 of the spies are like, no. And Rahab's like, we don't stand a chance against you. Picking back up, Numbers 14. And all the congregation lifted up their voice and cried, and the people wept that night. And all the children of Israel murmured against Moses and against Aaron. And the whole congregation said unto them, would God that we had died in the land of Egypt, or would God that we had died in this wilderness? And wherefore hath the Lord brought us unto this land to fall by the sword, that our wives and our children should be a prey? Were it not better for us to return into Egypt? And they said one to another, Let us make a captain, and let us return unto Egypt. The people believed the evil report. They hadn't talked to Rahab yet. They didn't know that everyone in the promised land was terrified of them. Picking back up with verse 5. Then Moses and Aaron fell on their faces before all the assembly of the congregation of the children of Israel. And Joshua the son of Nun, and Caleb the son of Jephunneh, which were of them that searched the land, rent their clothes. And they spake unto all the company of the children of Israel, saying, The land which we passed through to search it is an exceeding good land. If the Lord delight in us, then he will bring us into this land, and give it us, a land which floweth with milk and honey. Only rebel not ye against the Lord, neither fear ye the people of the land, for they are bread for us. Their defense is departed from them, and the Lord is with us. Fear them not. But all the congregation bade stone them with stones, and the glory of the Lord appeared in the tabernacle of the congregation before all the children of Israel. All right, so the leadership, Moses and Aaron, the high priest, are trying to tell them, no, we can do this. Joshua and Caleb, who were in there, they walked this land for 40 days, said, no, if the Lord is pleased with us, we shall take this land. It's an exceeding good land. But people weren't listening. And the Lord was unimpressed. Let's go to verse 11. And the Lord said unto Moses, How long will this people provoke me? How long will it be ere they believe me for all the signs which I have showed among them? I will smite them with the pestilence and disinherit them. I will make of thee a greater nation and mightier than they. Okay, the Lord's about ready to nuke them from space. Poor Moses now, like, okay, what do I say now? How do I keep the Lord from smiting every last one of them? Thank God Moses was a better person than me. I'd be like, yeah, smite him, Lord. Verse 13. And Moses said unto the Lord, Then the Egyptians shall hear it, for thou broughtest up this people in thy might from among them. Okay, so let me just pause here a moment. Moses was right. Moses was a smart guy. Sometimes I think he was a little frazzled most of the time from trying to lead the children of Israel. But he was a smart guy. He's like, Lord, people will hear that you smite them. You brought them up from Egypt, and people know about that. Think back to what Rahab was telling. We know the things the Lord did. We know he dried up the Red Sea for you. We know that he was with you when you went up against these other kings. We know these things. Reports had made it to the land of Canaan. And Moses starts out with, Lord, they'll hear. And they will tell it to the inhabitants of this land, for they have heard that thou, Lord, art among this people, that thou, Lord, art seen face to face, and that thy cloud standeth over them, and that thou goest before them by daytime in a pillar of cloud and a pillar of fire by night. Now if thou shalt kill all this people as one man, then the nations which have heard the fame of these will speak, saying, Because the Lord was not able to bring these people into the land which he sware unto them, therefore he hath slain them in the wilderness. And now I beseech thee, let the power of my Lord be great, according as thou hast spoken, saying, the Lord is long-suffering and of great mercy, forgiving iniquity and transgression, and by no means clearing the guilty, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generations. Pardon, I beseech thee, the iniquity of this people, according unto the greatness of thy mercy, and as thou hast forgiven this people from Egypt even until now. So Moses interceded, and he did an amazing job. Lord, you will look bad if you kill them, because everyone will say you couldn't bring them into the promised land. You started out great, the 10 Commandments, the gold standard of power, but you couldn't bring them into the promised land. And so Moses was concerned for what people would say about his God. And he reminded God that you are a powerful, forgiving God. Verse 20, and the Lord said, I have pardoned according to thy word. Wow. It's not often that you see something like Moses speaking and the Lord saying, okay, I'll do it your way, Moses. Moses and God had a very, very powerful relationship. That's a sermon for another day, but they really did. But as truly as I live, all the earth shall be filled with the glory of the Lord. Amen. Because all these men which have seen my glory and my miracles which I did in Egypt and in the wilderness, and have tempted me now these 10 times, and have not hearkened to my voice, surely they shall not see the land which I swear unto their fathers, neither shall any of them that provoked me see it. But my servant Caleb, because he had another spirit with him, and hath followed me fully, him will I bring into the land whereinto he went, and his seed shall possess it. Now the Amalekites and the Canaanites dwelt in the valley. Tomorrow turn you and get you into the wilderness by the way of the Red Sea. All right, so the Lord does pardon the children of Israel, but they're about to receive some serious consequences. They will not enter the promised land. The specific details are given a little later, but everyone who is 20 years old or older will not see the promised land. And the Lord said, get you into the wilderness by the way of the Red Sea. So God said, turn around. You're not going into the promised land. You're going back out into the wilderness. And you are going to walk around until your carcasses keel over and die. You're not going into the promised land. Your children will go into the promised land. But you aren't going because you have doubted me. Because you who saw some of the most amazing miracles, and who have been eating manna provided by God, manna from heaven, every day, and drinking water from a rock that follows you around, you are covered by a pillar of smoke in the day, and you have a pillar of fire by night. Apparently, these are insufficient miracles. So, their consequence is they do not get to go into the promised land. They got to the edge of heaven. Well, heaven on earth, the promised land. They got to the very edge. I mean, tiptoe right up to the line, and then went, no. So let's bring this home. Let's see what are some lessons we can learn from this. First of all, I've already started alluding to this. They ignored all of the miracles of God that they had seen. These were not miracles they'd heard about. These were not miracles that were passed down through the generations. Oh, God did this. Oh, man, I wish I could have been there to see that. They were there to see that. And they ignored all of those miracles. How do we bring this one home? Never forget what the Lord has done for you or your family. If the Lord has powerfully healed you or a loved one, never forget that. Because that wasn't a coincidence. And it probably, I'm not against medical science, but medical science is the third largest cause of death amongst Americans. So medical science, yeah, but yeah. But God, on the other hand, is a powerful healer. And when God has done something powerful for you, don't forget it. Because that miracle is real. You got to see it. The children of Israel got to see God do amazing things, but they forgot it. We must never forget when God does amazing things for us. How about this? They viewed the obstacles from too low a perspective. They were like, but these guys are giants, and they live in cities with walls. Well, yes, but just because something's bigger than you doesn't mean it's bigger than God. The scriptures tell us God uses the earth as his footstool. How big do you think that giant is to God? Have you ever been out in your yard and you've seen some ants, and maybe there are some small ants and there are some bigger ants? Well, they're still just ants to you. It's like even the bigger ant is like, oh, he's tiny. So you get the itty bitty tiny ants, and yes, they probably look at the other ones and go, wow, those ants are big. We've got to be careful around them. And you're looking at them and going, well, they're just ants. Everything is small to God. So don't view the obstacles from your perspective. I mean, you can say, Lord, this situation is bigger than I can handle. But it's not bigger than you, God. You can handle this situation because you sit up on the throne in heaven. The earth is your footstool, and you can look at this situation and go, wow, that's a really tiny obstacle. Here, let me just take care of that for you. I mean, yes, we humans are tiny compared to God, but so is anything that we are facing. Our obstacles, our adversaries are also tiny compared to God. Here's probably, I don't know, it's hard to pick which is the worst of the things they did, but I'm going to suggest maybe it's this. They treated their fears as reality, but we know that they weren't real. The things that they feared were not required to be feared. But they didn't know that because they didn't trust God. God said, I am going to give you this land. And they just had so many fears that they forgot or paid no attention to the Lord's promise. We know from reading the report of Rahab that everybody in the promised land was fearful of God. They knew that the land belonged to the children of Israel. They just were waiting for the children of Israel to walk in and take it. There was no fight left into them. Their knees were knocking together. Their spines had turned to jelly. There was no fight left in them. But the children of Israel allowed their fears to take on a reality. It's like, well, yeah, but these guys are big. So, yes, individually those people are bigger than you, but they are small compared to God. And God promised he was going to give you that land. And then finally, they bailed on God at the last minute. Their nerve cracked, and they just couldn't do it. So, when you're making a big decision in your life, I think it's fair to think about all the things the Lord has brought you through, all of the promises that God has given you. There are plenty of promises in his word, and sometimes he gives us individual promises. Remember the promises. Remember every time you have seen the power of God move, every miracle that you have witnessed. Don't view your obstacles from where you are. View them from where God is. Because God, now he doesn't laugh at our obstacles, but he doesn't consider them a problem. So here we are. Lord, this thing in front of me is just huge. I can't handle it. And God's like, oh, hang on, let me put my glasses on to even see that. It's so small compared to me. Oh, yeah, okay. No, yeah, it's slightly bigger than you. Here, let me move that. Don't treat your fears as reality. If God says something, he's going to make it come to pass. Now, you may not see how. You may have fears, but don't let your fears stop you. Let them motivate you. Even if it only motivates you to pray that God will take care of the issue. And don't, God hates this, don't just bail on him at the last minute. When the Lord is leading you and you're following him, and you get to that last step you need to take, don't go, oh, no, I'm out of here. It's like, how far has God brought you? How many miracles has God done to get you here? And then you turn around at the last minute. Don't do that to yourself. Don't do that to God. Make your decisions after remembering all that the Lord has brought you through. All right, bless you. A great place to remember all the things that the Lord has done for you is an altar. Amen. So come on down and let the Lord remind you of how good he has been to you. Bless you.